Welcome in everybody to our next Dream Job webinar. My name is Danny Rubin. I'm the founder of our company, Rubin, based in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we provide online resources for communication skills. And as many of you know, we do our Dream Job webinars, usually twice a month. This is our second one of November, and then we're going to pause for Thanksgiving. Last week, we talked to an artificial intelligence software developer. And then this week, a hard turn into painting, commercial and residential painting. So we really do jump around the jobs. And Kimberly Hoke, is it Hoke? Am I saying that
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, you are.
Kimberly Hoke is here from AKK Painting, and we're thrilled that she can be here to speak with us. And we'll get into that conversation in just a few moments. And we have Jessica Johnson commenting from Sequoia Academy Alternative Education High School in California. Make sure when you comment, everybody, that you're using the everyone option, not the host and panelists. For those who are here, and I see some familiar names, there could be always some new folks too. And I want to offer some free resources for communication. You know, if you've been here before, you know we like to do that, and we like to mix up our resources to share with the teachers and students. And this time we're giving out some free exercises for job interviews, learning how to research companies before the interview, request an informational interview via email, smart questions to ask when you're sitting in front of the boss, how to write a great thank you note, all the different facets of the interview process before, during, and after. And we have activities and guides to help students to be their best. And if you would like these resources, you don't have them from us yet, all you got to do is go to the chat, type the word interested and your email address, and we will share it with you. And if you are new to our community, never received our resources before, we'll send you a invitation for a short phone call or short Zoom chat, on Wednesday. And we'll chat for a moment, pass it along, and help you to share these resources with your school. So interested in your email address, and we would be happy to share these resources with you. A couple of other points to make before we jump into our conversation. Everybody here today will receive a certificate for being part of our Dream Job session. You'll see that in your email on Wednesday. And also, one more thing to note, we will resume our Dream Job conversations after Thanksgiving. Wednesday, December 6th, we're talking to a flight attendant about his or her job, the guest TBD. So, and then our last one will be with an athletic trainer later in December. So some cool conversations still to come, and we hope you'll join us for those. And I'll remind everybody about these again at the end. Let me pull back. And by the way, Joyce Hargrave, Lexington Senior High School, Lexington, North Carolina, she's here as well. So thank you, Joyce, and your students for being part of today's session. So let me now bring in Kimberly, who we have plucked out of her busy day on her Tuesday, and we're grateful that she can spend time with us to talk about her company. So tell us, Kimberly, about the company, the kind of work that you do, and let's get started in the painting biz. Give us the background.
Painting biz. I am actually the office manager, and I've been here for a little over a year. Painting business. AKK Painting was born in 2014. Andreas A. Fox is the owner. He had worked for someone else, did contract work, and he just wasn't happy with it. And he had a passion. It was therapeutic to him, painting, and he was good at it. And so he decided to start his own thing. So AKK was born, and it is named after his children. So we serve the Hampton Roads area. We are veteran owned. We are a direct to consumer business, which we don't deal with contractors. So it's direct to consumers. Payments come to us. You don't have to worry about a third party being involved. We specialize in more complete interiors and exteriors of residential and commercial homes.
Okay.
So
And it says
that's,
here that you take the pain out of painting.
yes.
So what does that mean? What is painful about painting that your company makes better?
For us, taking the paint out of painting, when we all know personally, we've done our own painting and it becomes stressful and messy, or you've had different people do different jobs for you and it's not quite quality. So for us, we arrive on time. What what crew you get on your job, they are trained professionals and they care about what they do.
Hmm.
And from the very beginning of talking to me and scheduling appointment for an estimate, to talking with our estimators, getting your job scheduled, there's constant contact and checking in with the homeowners um, to make sure that it's an easy transition of what's being done, because having people in your house, especially, and getting painting done, you want it done effectively, efficiently, and professionally.
Yes.
And we want to, relieve your stress, kind of hold your hand. I will hold your hand through. Our estimators, also our project managers, will help and guide you. Questions, keep you updated on the status of the job. We come in, we get the job done, and you don't have to wonder, are they coming back or not? Because people have had so many issues with, oh, I hired a painter and they started and never came back and finished.
Yes.
So we are good to our word. So that's what we, pride ourselves in, is really taking the pain out of painting. So you don't have to think about or worry about things. We will help you, we will guide you, and give you a beautiful transformation of your space.
Thank you. And as we talk, I want to encourage the teachers and students here to please go to the Q&A and put any of your questions about the painting business, and I will share those with our guest. So let's talk about your team. Who is on the team? Like, what does it look like top to bottom, from the owner down to the guys, that the men and women out there on the work site doing the work? What's the team look like?
Well, the owner, Andreas, he's kind of stepped back from being and doing the estimating and doing painting. Originally, it was just him. So he did the painting, he did the estimating. So as we've grown substantially, honestly, even this last year that I've been here, I am actually the first full-time person that he's had in the office, being able to handle the phones and work in our CRM system and be able to have more customer contact and help relieve stress off of his daily duties that he had before. We have brought on two estimators to be able to go out in the field and do the estimates. So Rick and Colin, handle that. And they also do project managing. So if they sell the job, they meet with the homeowners, they introduce our crew. We have 3 crew, and we will have the main team leader, and then we will have assistant painters and apprentice on each crew.
Okay.
To help on these jobs, and they are delineated, like the crew leaders kind of, sets the pace and kind of delineates who does what where, but making sure things are wrapped and taped properly. That is such a big thing, is prep work is really and so important, to making sure that you're protecting these people's homes and making sure that it's done properly, that there's not paint splatters and things like that being dropped. So drop cloths are put down from the front door the whole ways through. Furnitures are wrapped and taped off and protected. And then, painting itself, it's gross, gross scale, and then it gets the fine trim work, detail work that is needed. But each guy on the crew knows their place, but it's up to the crew leader to tell them, all right, I need you to do this or to do that.
Okay. And where do you find your employees? Where is Andreas finding the painters?
That man knows everybody. I'm not going to lie. Somebody that knows somebody kind of thing. And when he first started out, it was just really random meetings of guys that he brought on, befriended, and has taught them his technique, what he has learned through the years of the other company that he had worked for, knowing that yes, they're a crew, but they're like family. We're all like family. That we can talk, we can communicate, and bringing them all together. So they have been with us, along the way. It was kind of like, well, this one knows this person, this knows this person, kind of thing. And so they've kind of been brought on. Now, mind you, we've had a couple guys that have come on and haven't worked out. But the crews that we have now, it's guys that have been with us, that this guy knows this guy, and I trust and I believe in him, and having that trusting working relationship is, how the crew have kind of come together as family.
Well, that's great. We have students watching this now, where they'll watch on recording, and they might be interested in painting, commercial or residential, upon graduation, or maybe they want to run their own business in this field when they're out. And would it be helpful if students were gaining experience while students painting or learning how to manage a painting job? Would that be useful to your team if someone came out of high school and had those kinds of skills?
Oh my gosh, yes, it would be so beneficial, because there are some guys that they don't really know, like, and they start out as apprentices and we teach them, but learning the tools of the trade, learning how to handle a ladder, learning how to carry a 5-gallon bucket, learning how to tape off properly if things are sealed around appliances and around the windows, everything that's, being painted and that's taped off properly. So if they had those skills, it would save us time. If they already had a foreknowledge of this, it would save us time, and time is money. So production, so the faster that we can get guys trained and really know what's going on, and the quicker they are on jobs, the faster we can turn them around and in turn grow the business.
And that's great. And this was actually Lori Epic asked a question I was about to say too, about this apprentice aspect. How do they become an apprentice? Or you just name them that as sort of like an entry-level employee, or do they?
Yes,
and
pretty
what is
much.
the process? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's pretty much entry level, no experience is pretty much apprentice wise. And then if you became like a crew leader, all of the tricks of the trade, and your products, what works, what paints are good for what environments, whether it's interior, whether it's exterior. And that's something that if somebody has no experience, they don't know, we have to teach them. So that's kind of the apprentice level.
Okay. And how long do you keep them in that apprentice phase before you feel like they're ready to leave?
And it all depends on the person, everybody learns differently. And so showing up and being reliable are really important things that have to be there, and being able to listen to what they're being told, being able to see what they're being taught, and being able to repeat it. So it all depends on their willingness and want to learn and grow, to shift out of like, okay, I want to learn this, I want to learn this, I want to learn this, versus somebody that, no, I don't really want to advance, I don't want to learn more, I'm just kind of here. So it all depends on the individual, on how fast that they can really show me what you got. Some people are just naturally talented and pick up on things easily, and painting is a good thing for them, whether they're like in general artsy, using that brush, knowing how to handle it. So.
Okay. And Lori also asked, how much weight do people have to carry? Is it, how heavy can it get?
I mean, for an individual person, I would say typically maybe 50 pounds.
Okay.
In an individual, depending what they're carrying, because sometimes they're carrying 5-gallon buckets on each side, or they're, carrying a 32-foot ladder and multiple things. But I would say no more than 50 by themselves.
Okay. Okay. And I'd like to talk about the communication skills side of it. Let's first talk about communicating with the customer, because we had discussed that our company, we're big on teaching communication. And you said to me, like, that's huge. It's how your reputation is tied in with how you're communicating. So how does AKK communicate with customers to sort of keep it at a high level?
Between me dealing with the customer and finding out via either email or telephone, but connecting them with them personally and finding out really, what is your worry with this job? Why are you doing this? Some people, it's like, okay, this is my new home I'm moving into. Finding out the feeling that's involved, knowing that, okay, this is my new home and I want this stuff taken care of and I wanted to make it my space. Or we deal with realtors and they just need to get it done quick to get it on the market. So finding out that information and asking the right questions to find out really what is at the heart of this. Why are we doing this? The emotion that's in, behind, what's the motive of what they're doing. So for me to
really
be
using a lot of listening skills.
yes, absolutely. Yes, really. And when you take the time not to always be in a hurry and be able to really truly listen to people and to understand what they're trying to convey to you is so important. Then shifting out my information that I collect, that I let my sales team know about. I'm like, this is why we're doing this. This is, some people are very worrisome. I express that so that they know how to deal with the customer when they meet them, to make them feel at ease. And they explain the whole process to them, the painting process, us showing up on time, being there, how things are prepped, what the homeowner needs to do if there's things they want to keep up. I want to rehang that picture, just leave the nail on the wall. Finding out those little details and being able to communicate that, like, okay, this is what the homeowner wants. This is, what they're telling me, and gear yourself towards that to ease the process. And with the guys on the crew, most of our guys are Hispanic and bilingual. So definitely our crew leaders, because they are bilingual, it's easier for them if they have to say something to the homeowner or communicate with the homeowner. Then with them communicating to each other on the team and knowing, okay, this color needs to go on this wall. This needs to go over here. Being specific so jobs run smoothly, that there's not hiccups, that like, oh, I painted the wrong color on the wall because I didn't listen to you and I didn't tell you, I thought you knew. And being able to do that is so essential, just closing the loop from me to my sales guy, to my crew, back to the sales guys, wrapping up the jobs, finding out if, okay, nobody's perfect. There might be, oh, I missed caulking a one spot. The homeowner relays that to either the crew leader or, our project manager, and we go back in and we fix it. And letting, the circle, and then at the end, they're all good, knowing that, okay, that, and then on the back end, that's when we collect payment from them, and knowing that everything's good that way.
Yep. Thank you for taking us through that. And you mentioned early in the explanation that you got to send emails, you got to call people. So would you say it's probably not possible to run a business just texting all your customers? Sometimes you have to speak to them or send them formal messages.
You do, because with text, yes, we do. I mean, sometimes it's convenient for people because they are working. Sure. And they're like, well, I can't have my phone on at this time or do this, but if you shoot me a text, I'll be able to get back to you. But there's always miscommunication. There's always a misunderstanding. We know that in general everyday life, when we text a friend and they take it the wrong way because they didn't understand the context. So to get quick clarity of really what's going on here, pick up the phone, call them, and talk to them. And honestly, especially with, I would say my generation, older generation, they like to be able to physically talk to somebody in a business, not just write to me or text me. They like the physical aspect of being able to get a hold of somebody. I mean, I've had many people call into the office, oh, surprised that they get a person on the phone or that they got a return phone call, because there's so many businesses, they'll call and they'll leave messages and they don't hear anything. You know, that is one thing that we pride ourselves on, is the prompt reply and getting back to a customer and being able to talk to them. And that means such a difference. It's like we're hands-on, you know, and
Yeah.
people really, as much as the world has changed, still enjoy that.
And because it's harder to find, they like it even more when they
When they
have
get
it.
it, they're like, "Ooh,"
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel that. We have a good question here from Joyce Hargrave in Lexington, North Carolina. She says, I have a student who does painting with his uncle and his dad. He's a senior. Could he do a short internship of some sort, or should he wait until after graduation? Would you want to have a student interning or sort of on your team before they graduate? Would that be helpful to your company, for example?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, he's putting forth the effort and he's already seeing the skills that are needed. And I know, like, during the summertime, Andreas, his son and his son's best friend, you know, they come on board and he's teaching them. Now, is that something they want to do for the rest of their lives? Maybe not. Does his son want to take over the business someday? Not sure. You know, he just went off to college, but having the experience and seeing really what it's like to be out in the field. So yes, he's a senior in high school. If you have the opportunity to be able to apprentice, you know, do an entry level apprentice, you know, with a painting company, you get to see, your eyes get to be opened to what it is to be in the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And so let's say in this case, Joyce's student, for example, he doesn't live in your area, but let's say how would you want him to approach AKK to seek that? Would you want him to walk in with his resume? Do you want him to call? What would you prefer as someone who would be evaluating him? How would you want to be approached?
I've had several people, you know, call and all. I mean, there's people always looking for work and things like that. But calling me physically and talking to me and say that, you know, you have interest in, you know, coming on board as, you know, as an apprentice and to learn the trade. And for them to be able to, as long, you know, do you have reliable transportation? Do you know how to be punctual? Like, I'm going to ask you these questions. Do you have your driver's license? Now, is it being young in the school, not always to have driver's license, because you would just, normally our guys team up. We have several fleet vehicles and you team up and you jump in a vehicle, but sometimes you might have to go run for something. But, you know, they're the kind of things that I would ask, if there is any experience, any, you know, painting knowledge at all, you know, asking some questions. I normally take their information, and I normally, for the hiring process around here, I pass that off to the owner typically,
Okay.
for him to be able to speak to them, because he's more geared to ask the questions and gets a feel. And he's normally pretty good, like, to give opportunity to people. It's like, okay, show me what you can do. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But he's always one to really give the chance, because we all know what it was like to have, you know, not have a chance to be able to maybe try something. And people are like, no, you don't have an experience. You don't have this, you don't have that. But taking the time to cater to younger generations really to get people into the trade field really isn't. We need it. It's just so important.
Yeah, and we hear that all the time. There's a skills gap. There's always jobs open. You know, you can't find enough good people. So, okay, that's good to know. But again, it would require the student to do some things they may not be comfortable doing, like calling and speaking live with someone like you and having to just talk, you know,
Mhm.
and introduce yourself and seek employment. So it's good to hear you say that that's what you need them to be willing to do, is to call you or walk in, because they
And
can't
like,
they can't text you.
yeah. And for me, I feel, yeah, you can write up a resume and it can look pretty and it can contain information, but I'm a people person, and being able to talk to somebody on the phone or meet them in person to get a feel for really truly how they are, how they present, how can you talk to me? Because we're real. We're just people. So to be able to relay that information, like, how can I help you?
Hmm.
That's really how can I help you, and tell me what, if what that help would look like to you, and be able to relay that to me versus a piece of paper. Yes, you can type it, you can be pretty and great
Yep.
and skills, wonderful. But to take what you wrote and to relay it and speak to me speaks volumes.
I think that's a great a way to present it to students, that you just, even in a digital age, you have, especially in a business like this where you're going to people's homes, you are interacting with not just the customer, but their family or whoever else is in the house at that time, right? And everything reflects back on your company. If they have,
Mm-hmm.
the person has a weird interaction with one of your employees, it just colors the whole experience.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like you must be put a lot of trust in your people to go out every day and be in people's homes for hours and hope that everything is polite, nothing goes weird. Because then all of a sudden they don't want to give you that review, and they start
Mm-hmm.
telling people, "Oh, I don't call them." They, it's like it's such a fine line.
And that's something that we've prided ourselves on. You can call Chuck in a truck, as we say in the biz. You know, you can call some fly by night guy that you saw that you think, and he'll come and he'll be cheap, like, oh, I can do it for, $500. And you might, call us and like, oh, well, that will be 1,000. We are higher end, but the quality that you get, the paint quality you get, the whole circle of trust and what we pride
Yep.
ourselves in doing for the customer versus some guy that comes up in some creeper van that you don't know if you really want them in your house or not. Can you trust them? Um, we are licensed, we are insured, we are with the Better Business Bureau, we are known around the Hampton Roads area. So we keep striving to always do better, but holding ourselves at a higher standard and getting that expressed to our customers so that they do trust us because we are in your home.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
is a private place. And some people are like, oh, easy day, I don't care, come on in. And other people are like, I need to be here for this and I need to be here for that. So it's always a delicate balance, and trust is a big thing.
And it's like the expression, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
And you can go cheap, and you might regret it, because you want the peace of mind along with a quality
And
job.
that's
So
why we say we take the pain out of painting, because you do want that peace of
I love
mind.
that. I love that expression. I'm always, and I'm never going to look at the word painting the same way again after that. So, well, Kimberly, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to speak with us. Great advice. Well, I hope many students will hear this message and follow up on what you're saying on all fronts, and hopefully put a few more students out into the world as painters, perhaps, from this conversation. So thank you very much. And thank you, Jenny, for your time. And for those who are here, thank you for your attendance and your questions. We'll send out the certificates shortly and the free resources to those who requested it. And as I said, we'll meet again December 6th, and we will talk with a flight attendant. Totally different conversation that way too. And we look forward to that. So until then, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a nice holiday with your families. And Kimberly, thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great rest of the day, everybody.